Bonsoir, good evening, welcome everyone. My name is Colleen Milliard, I'm at Basel's executive editor, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you all for the third panel in this special program, guest curated by Edward Enninful and entitled The 90s. This program is a prelude to a big exhibition coming up at Tate Britain in 2026, so be sure to mark your calendars. But for now, please join me in welcoming to the stage Juergen Teller and Edward Enninful. Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much, and thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to be sitting here with sort of not just one of the most revered, talented, incredible photographers in this world of ours, but also one of my oldest friends. I think we met when I was 16 and
Yes.
I was a little baby. So this is really like a great, like a family reunion in a way. So yes, Juergen, we'll just dive straight back in. As you know, this conversation is about the 90s and the work, the incredible work you did then that sort of defined that decade. So I guess the first question really is,
I guess in
what was the
the
90s like for you?
I guess in the 90s I would have sit there and smoked a cigarette. You know, that's that's how things moved on, and we were young and thin.
That's true.
That's pretty much the difference.
That's true. And I always remember being in London and sort of meeting Juergen when we were very young. And he was this magnetic young photographer from Germany. And at the time, you know, there was this sort of like very English clique, and Juergen was usually like the only German photographer in the group. And how did that define your work, being from sort of that part of the world and having to come?
I always felt like an outsider, and I always still feel like a loner and an outsider, some way. But I have to say, England really welcomed me, and it didn't matter whether, you know, in Germany you have to climb up the ladder and you have to have this certificate, and you have to be an assistant and you have to climb up the ladder and everything. And a beautiful thing in England, it was like, you showed your work or your portfolio, and it didn't matter where you came from in a way, and they gave you a chance, you know. And it started with doing record covers,
Yes.
and I was photographing Sinead O'Connor, and then it was the single "Nothing Compared to You," and that climbed up on #1. So within that, my name was attached to that project and things, and I remember I have very beautiful memories of being welcomed into this world of Marc Le Bon
Yes.
at Garage, and that
Crunch Studios.
really, Crunch Studios, and that really meant something for me, which I've never seen before. You know, I come from the small village rather, next to the forest, and there were all this. There was Judy Blame, there was Zoe Bedeau,
Yeah, Zoe.
and Ray Petrie, all these stylists and musicians, and Nenny Cherry, and they were, and my English was rather poor at the time, and and they kind of like let me be there and let me be part of it. So that was really kind of the warmth of it. Otherwise, within that grunge movement, I feel like I have not really anything to do with this group. But
I remember we were talking about it yesterday, and Juergen was like, I never really felt a part of the grunge group. And I said, he said you were an outsider. And I said, you were an outsider, but also the ultimate insider, because everybody wanted to work with you, right? All the magazines, all the editors.
yeah, I guess I mostly said no. Because you know how it was. You had to think, and you still think, hopefully now, what you want to do. And when you're young, it takes a long time to think about what you want to do. And I didn't want to churn out the work. And the beauty was like, you were searching for a piece of music, or you went to the record store and you looked at the record sleeve, and that was an artwork in itself. And there were just these couple of magazines, handful of magazines there, and it really meant something, and you had to study it, and things were so much slower, and things could develop in time. that's the difference what it is now, you know.
I mean, I remember sort of being at ID, and you were such an important part for ID in the face, and everybody wanted to take their pictures. How did it feel? I guess now, years later, how did it feel being part of such a crucial moment in photography? And
I mean, at that time, it was just like surviving and doing things what you believed in, and I felt very incredible proud of this how you call it, like this craftsmanship of being a photographer. You know, you had to know, you had to have a knowledge about photography and about how to develop your film and how to do all these kind of things and how to set the light. And I felt really honestly proud if a musician asked me to photograph their record cover, and it was a sort of a contract, and I earned money from it. So it felt like an honest way of making a living, and I really liked that. And I didn't, and we didn't know what it meant, what we were doing. You know,
No way.
we just did it what we believed in. You know, and and things. The beautiful thing about it was it was very slow, and the money was very slow coming in, and now everything is so fast, and every photographer wants to earn so much money immediately, and this and that and the other, and it's just it's a dangerous game right now.
it really is. I remember you could go on photo shoots for magazines, and you could shoot a week, right?
Sometimes, yes. Yes.
That could never happen now.
No. Only if you yourself want to. And I do.
And one thing I love about, and the young, when did, I mean, to me, you've always been, you know, an artist. When did you become aware of this sort of idea that the fashion world could also, you could cross over into another world that wasn't necessarily about clothes and beauty, but a world that's essentially the art world? Was there a particular moment in time, or?
Not particularly, because I kind of stumbled into this fashion photography thing. I guess through you see, through music in a way, you know, and music was always on the forefront of what fashion will be. You know, whether it's the new romantics, whether it's punk, whether it's grunge. That was all before became then fashionable. You know, so they were, and the question is this what I was doing? A portrait, a documentary, a reportage, a fashion photograph, and I realized it could be everything in one. And if you do it as in your honest belief of what you want to do, it comes out what it is now. But I kind of, for me, the first moment when I started to work conceptually was my Go See project. That's when I first thought I'm doing something for over a period of 1 year, and I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve and what I wanted to do. That was in a way my first conceptual.
What sparked that? I mean, Go See is probably one of the most seminal images around fashion and art world. What sparked that idea for the project?
You know, it's like we grew up at the same time as when Kate Moss became well known.
Yeah.
And we did all these pictures, and I remember she was 15 when I was doing. It was her first campaign for Catherine Hamnet, and so we became well known in the fashion industry, and also suddenly you get catapulted into American Vogue, and they fly you over Concord, and then you're suddenly 3.5 hours later you're in New York, and you're confronted. It's like you do not photograph black and white; it has to be color. And
I know that.
and there were these supermodels, you know, these
Yeah,
untouchable supermodels, you know, which were bigger than life. And of course you're flattered by it, and you're interested in it, but very, very quickly I realized the kind of narrow-mindedness of these magazines, and I got very quickly bored by it. And so I kind of stopped that, and I thought, instead of me flying over to the other ocean, I thought, why don't I be in a studio and turn these things upside down and let them come to me? So I did that.
And I mean, to this day, I mean, I feel like to this day you still look at Go-Sees and it resonates so much. Now, did you think that it would have such an influence all these decades, essentially, later?
In a way, I was sure it was good. I was very sure that is conceptually interesting, even politically. Everything. I was sure it was a good project. The same power it had when I started working with Helmut Lang.
Yes.
Again, it was in '93, and I became very close friends with him. Not only because we understood each other and we liked each other, but also there was this kind of like, we were one of the few people who we were talking German to each other.
Yeah.
The rest was, there was Ellen who speaks German, but and there was Carl, and there was a couple of more, and the rest was English, especially certainly in England and in France French. But what I was getting at, he had all this creation there at this fashion show, and had all these supermodels there, and Stella Tennant and Kristen McManamy and Kirsten Owen and so on and so on, and they were all dressed in these fabulous, interesting, modern, exciting,
So exciting.
clothes, and which felt very electric and very new to everyone. And there was, of course, the hair and makeup there, and everything was there. And I thought, if I would wanting to recreate that and do a shoot, it's like I have no money, I have nothing to give, I have like, and I thought, everything is there. Why don't I shoot it right then there? And I remember there was only American photographer Roxanne Lewitt and myself who did backstage pictures. Now, if you go backstage, there were 500 of them.
So many.
And I don't know what these pictures are and what they're doing. I mean,
What do you look for in a subject? What makes you interested in photographing someone, or even an object?
Everything which touches my heart, which comes from life experience, and whether it's walking through the forest with my mother, and or photographing a cookbook, or I just recently photographed this writer called Constance Debris, who I read her book, read obviously, read her book, and people who just touch my heart and touch my intellect and things, and a lot of my things I'm doing now, it's not really one photograph. I kind of think of a project. It's a series of photographs where I want to express what I want to say.
We should do the next question. How is your approach to your work, your art, different now than it was in the 90s?
I would say instinctively still the same, but I'm very happy that I'm older and I'm much more content, and I know who I am, and I know who I'm with, and you're more sure about your life, and you execute certain ideas with much more rigorous conviction, and you also have the strength of jumping even more deeply in the cold water than before. I did that even then, but I was extremely nervous and really and very shy, and now I'm excited of what I'm doing.
Would you say the fashion world and the art world? I mean, as we were saying earlier, when Ian said they've been a little bit shy of each other, and I truly believe you were one of the few people to sort of bring the two industries together. Do you think it's more evident now, these two industries together? I mean, you have Freeze now and everybody's everywhere, and you have the Fashion Weeks and everybody's everywhere.
They're desperately eating each other up. They're bulging out of everything. It's like an overdose of this shit.
Sorry.
It was much more shy before.
But a little more shy. And I also know that you're...
And I never cared about it, you know. I just do, you know, my works, I believe, can function on a billboard and on a postcard, on a book, in a catalog, on an exhibition wall, in a magazine. So I want my work to be alive, to be seen, and in various situations, and not just function in this tight white corner of a white cube gallery, you know.
So basically,
And I also don't want to depend on these rich people buying my work, you know. Some people can buy my work, but I don't depend on them. You know, I'm very happy to fluctuate between this and this to make my living. So I want to be completely independent of anything and anyone. That's why I also in the early days, I never was interested in having a contract. You know, there's like all these young photographers from the 90s, they all swept over to New York and have their contracts with these magazines. And I thought, this is like handcuffed and you're fucked. To me, you know, I want to be able to, and even with a contract with you know, have very close relationship with my clients I work with, you know, with Marc Jacobs for 17 years.
You worked with them for years.
For 17 years, with Phoebe Filer for Celine for 10 years, Vivienne Westwood for a long time, and so on, and with J.W. Anderson, with Jonathan, on J.W. Anderson, Loewe, and now with Dior. But I never would say I want to have a contract and have to be doing this, you know. I want to always be just whatever I'm interested in. Then I say yes or I say no.
And where does this independent spirit come from? Because ever since I've known you,
I think through the better belief of what my work needs and what excites me. It's an instinct.
Because ever since I've known you, you always know that Juergen does what he wants and what makes you happy. It's something that you've really, really carried on. And I guess my question is, if a young photographer is starting now, how can they have, you know, there's so much noise, isn't there? The internet, I mean, how can a young photographer have a singular vision and be able to sort of perfect it?
That's a very difficult question. I don't know. Would one want to be a photographer now? That's the ultimate question. You know? Maybe there are some other ways to express yourself creatively. I do not know. I mean, it's a very difficult environment to be in now, and because everything has to be immediately so loud.
I know.
You know, and that was the prettiness of the 90s, you know, and we didn't mind being poor, you know, as long as like whenever I started earning money, I pumped into everything I earned into my photography, you know, and you need time to play, and you need time to have failures and learn from mistakes, you know. It's also good to go to a bad movie because you learn how bad it is. And you learn from that, you know, and not just from an excellent movie.
I mean, I always say to a lot of young people, they're like, oh my God, how did you get there? And I'm always like, from my mistakes. From the mistakes you made, you know, you just learn from them, and, you know, not, you know, or not learn from them, but at least kind of propels you.
But deeply, I have to say, we, you, me, and all the other people, we had a deep naivety and a deep enthusiasm, and it was a way of living and of experimenting and of playing, to trying things out and trying things out, you know. And for me, this machine, which is the camera, gives me incredible opportunities which I've never thought of the life could give me.
And also I remember going back to the 90s that sort of there was the art world. Yes, we saw it become what it became end of the 90s with the YBAs, but there were kind of small industries, the fashion industry.
So was the fashion industry too.
Yeah.
It was a
And now
very
it's
luxurious.
now
Yes,
it's huge global enterprises.
yes.
How do
Well,
you feel about that?
well, I have a more comfortable living now than before,
Yes.
so that's a good thing. I think you just have to be very careful still with all these opportunities what you choose, and you have to be very clever of thinking what excites you, and then you just do it, and other things you turn down, and it became very natural to me to kind of at one stage become bored with it, with fashion photography, and you step into something where you're really interested in, and life gives you that if you live your life, and then something falls into you that you get inspired by, and you do that, and then the fashion gives you something again, which is like, if I would be I could not photograph fashion all the time, it would be really I would be it would be just so boring to me.
We were speaking the other day. We were talking again about the 90s and how there was such an exciting period in the beginning, and then half the people who sort of our contemporaries moved to America. Were you never tempted to go live in America? And
No, I'm very in my old habits. It took me such an enormous effort to move to London. I escaped the army. I didn't want to go to the army in Germany. Could not speak a word of English, and I took my car and drove to England, and it was fucking tough. And whether I wanted it or not, I stayed there. To move again to something else, I didn't have the. That was the biggest jump in the cold water I did, and it was not pretty. It was very difficult, and of course I didn't want to come back as a loser with my tail between my legs, so I had to, and that also has something to do with the suicide of my father. That you have like one life, and you have to be thinking you either fuck it up or you make something out of it, and for me, I was driven to do what I wanted to do, and you have responsibility in your life. You can either say everything is negative and everything is boring, which I do, but 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 in general I'm positive, and within the possibilities of what can do.
is there? I'm going to ask you a daring question. Who did you love photographing the most, and who did you love photographing the least?
Well, it's quite easy. I would love photographing my wife. First, I would have said, before I met my wife, I would have said my mother. Now it's for sure my wife, and we have a wonderful relationship together where we work together and do everything together. And the person I hated most photographing, or what?
Yes. Well, maybe hate's a strong word.
Least enjoyable. Do I have to say that?
I wouldn't.
That was my wife shakes.
No,
I said,
like no. And I mean, yes, we've talked about the 90s and the work you did and how incredible a time it was. But I always feel with you, I always feel that you're very forward-looking. I feel you're always sort of like, what's next? I'm pretty much the same. What is inspiring you, these days?
Well, I had just last week. I had this very very large exhibition at the Onassis ready at Onassis,
Tell us more.
Onassis Foundation, and we were planned that for over 3 years, and it's two massive spaces, and we worked with Tom Emerson, the architect from 6A. We worked on the layout of it, and I produced a lot of work with DeVille together, and it's something what I got together when I had the show at the Grand Palais Ephemer 2 years ago.
Yes.
And there were parts of that show, and with new political elements in it, and I found out I wanted to do something where DeVille and me are always together, and we work together, and every day we are together. And I kind of thought I kind of wanted to make a project, a series of photographs where we morph into each other, where we become one person. So it's like a double exposure, superimposed scenario where we become one person.
Because I mean, there is the conversation that if you live together and you work together, that can be quite difficult. But I've seen you and DeVille, and it's so seamless. How do you achieve that at work and still have such a great personal life that I've witnessed up close?
Ask my wife. We met about 8 years ago, and then we got together, and she was living in New York,
Senior.
and I thought this is just not possible. And what is she going to do? Come to London? She has to come to London, right? Yeah. Because of my studio, because I had 2 kids, and I just had this crazy idea, and I think we should work together, because otherwise, it would have been difficult to, like. And I had this, it's another kind of a jump into the cold water. This offer I made that we could, and I knew she would be very good with the business sides of things. I was 100% sure about it, but then it became this incredible, fruitful relationship where we do a lot of projects together, or everything together really, and it came at the time when I also got a little bit bored with commercial fashion photography, and she kind of injected a complete new energy into me, and she says I'm the jet and she's the fuel. So vroom.
Off you go. I mean, sort of looking around, a lot of magazines, a lot of people think they can, it's a thing now, they can create Juergen Teller pictures. I mean, we have that conversation. A lot of people think they can imitate that sense of reality, but also something that's so innate. Someone's always said to me, your work almost feels like it's who the person is inside. Why do you think there's so many young photographers who really revere your work like they do? And don't tell me you don't know why.
I guess because I'm good. For me, every situation, every time I photograph of a subject or a portrait or everything, and people ask me how do you do it, and I said every time it's individual, and you have to react individually to each situation, the person, the place where you are, the weather, and everything, and you have to you have your idea of how you wanted to do it. And within that, you have to react to the subject's ideas, and to be incredible fast of assessing a situation, of involving your subject, and it might turn slightly to the left or slightly to the right, and you have to be psychologically very astute to feel the person, and I think I can assess very fast the aura of a person. Sounds really pompous, but I think it is true, and that's why I think my portrait pictures are valid.
And I mean, you have so many incredible books. I mean, from the very first one with Annie on the cover to one of the most, probably one of the most powerful books I've ever seen, the last book you did on Auschwitz. I mean, this book is so incredibly moving and tells such an incredible story. How did that whole process, how did that whole project come about?
I got commissioned by the International Auschwitz Committee whether I would consider doing a project with them and publishing a book. And it was together with my publisher, Gerhard Steidl, who, as a young adolescent, went to Auschwitz and worked there and helped after the war.
You worked there?
Well, he did, how do you call it, like... obviously after the war, help partly repair things because they keep it like that, and it would fall down. So they have to kind of keep it how it is now, kind of thing. And I thought long about it, whether it is the right thing for me to do, and what can you photograph, and everybody everything you think of is the train tracks and all these black and white pictures but I thought I have a responsibility as a human being to be offered this project, that I have to take it very serious and do it and I think the result is very good.
A real communication.
And that really shapes me. That took me a half a year to recover from this tremendous monstrous thing you've seen. And it was really deep because the director of the Auschwitz Commission, the vice president, he was with these survivors for 35 years, and he had all these stories. And whenever we went to this place and to this wall and things, and he told us all these stories, and they are partly in my Auschwitz book too. And it was really a powerful experience for Deville and me. And the same thing which really had a big impact in me about a year and a half ago, I believe it was, when the Vatican commissioned me to photograph Pope Francis. That was another. I was very proud.
No, I mean, we're looking at the images here from Gosi to photographing the Pope. How was that experience?
It was incredible, beautiful, because it was for the Venice Biennale, for the Holy See catalog, and Pope Francis was visiting the Holy See Pavilion, which was at the women's prison in Giudecca, in Venice, and he was talking to all the women's prisoners, and they are really in prison not because they just stole your car. They are there for serious crimes.
A lot of fortitude.
And they were quite hardcore when you meet them. And it's just a powerful... I've never been in a prison before in my life. And there were all these women. And what was incredible, this aura Pope Francis had. And then when he came to these prisoners, they were all like kind of nose rings and tattoos and crazy haircuts, tough-looking, butch. Pope Francis comes and welcomes them, and everything in this courtyard, everything changed. They became like little lambs, like angels. I've never seen anything in my life. The whole atmosphere, the power of him was incredible. And Deville and me, we were so honored and proud to be part of that. So, yeah.
Is there anyone, I mean, you've literally photographed everyone who's in, from musicians to the Pope to
murderers.
Well, is there anybody you haven't photographed yet that you think, oh my God, that would be a good assignment? Or
I normally don't think that way, but it just happens what I come across in life in a way, and that gets me excited. Then I work towards it, kind of thing. But I couldn't think of somebody now. I would love to work more with Constance Debris.
with
Constance Debris, if I pronounce the French name in the correct way. She's a French writer, and I was really impressed by her.
okay, if you're here, what would Juergen Teller today say to Juergen Teller in the 90s?
I've never thought of that.
Take your time.
Just have your moral compact, right, and keep doing exactly what you're doing, what you've done before, and be always sure of yourself. Even if you're unsure, you're kind of sure of yourself, and keep doing what you're doing. I wouldn't have changed anything, because I have a natural stop of when I'm think this is not the right thing, or this is boring now, or then I kind of go into something else, which then catapults me into some excitement. Like suddenly I got offered to photograph a cookbook. It was so exciting to photograph a cookbook.
I love the book you
I
did
got
with
I got
Patel.
re- I got really fat over that cookbook. It's like it's three courses every day, and you have to try this, you have to try this, and then the alcohol, everything is delicious in Italy. Wow, and then the cakes and everything. After three
dream
weeks,
job.
I rolled home. It was horrible. But it was so exciting and this was actually the first time
Was it the Italian?
in the Pelicano, the Hotel
Yeah.
Pelicano. That was actually the first time I thought my camera is not doing what I want the camera to do. It was I was still photographing with film, and I was too far away from the food, and it was the food was so attractive and so colorful and so crazy looking. I kind of thought I need to do more pornographic about it, you know. And I just went to the local village and to the local camera store, and I bought this very cheap. You press it, the lens comes out. That was my first time I used a digital camera, and I just went like this, and I got so excited, and I never went back to film, apart from. Yeah, but in a way, in my mind, I never went back to film.
And I love when we work together. Sometimes you use the iPhone. It's such a brilliant way. How did that love of sort of shooting on the iPhone? When did that start?
I can't remember. A long time ago, like 7 years ago, or something like that. And it's just a beautiful instrument, you know. I was very dubious about when the first digital cameras came out. It was all very silvery, and it was the highlights were like all fucked up, and everything looked so digital and ugly. And now it just looks like life, you know. And it's and certain things you cannot do with a digital camera, with an iPhone camera. But when you have the knowledge and to know how to use it,
It's more about vision, really. Right?
well, everything is about, yeah. This is it's like a car. It's just to drive from A to B.
We have to wrap up. A last question. What's yet next for Juergen Teller and Deauville at that? What should we expect to see?
I'm so excited about, and I never quite managed to do it in the way I was satisfied. I'm working on a book about my installation pictures of the Another show, because it's such a huge monumental show for me that I'm working on a book about my installation pictures. So it's kind of good to reflect on what you've done, and you think about what you've done, and then you think about what is going to come next. So it's a lot of thinking involved in the studio of not doing anything else than thinking.
Well, Juergen, I've known you for over 30 years.
And we're still friends.
You're an inspiration. You really...
And so are you.
Oh, this old thing. But really, thank you for all you've done for the industry and continue to do. And thank you all for coming. Juergen Teller.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Juergen. Thank you, Edward, on behalf of all of us at Basel. This was so inspiring and so fun. So please keep doing what you're doing for many, many years to come. And we look forward also to your book and to your exhibitions. And thank you all for coming in such great numbers. It's really great to see you all. Come back at 5:30 for the last panel of our 90s special with incredible artist Marc Jacobs. So please stick around and see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.